Welcome back, everyone, and thank you for joining us once again on our coin collecting journey where we explore the stories, mysteries, and unbelievable values hidden in the smallest pieces of change you might already have sitting in your pocket, in a jar on your dresser, or forgotten at the bottom of a drawer. And today we are diving into one of the most shocking discoveries in modern numismatics, a coin that has left collectors stunned, dealers speechless, and treasure hunters more excited than ever, because we're talking about the unbelievable 1992 D1 cent, a coin that looks ordinary, feels ordinary, circulates like any other penny, but has actually shocked the coin world with a mind-blowing value of an estimated $49 million due to an extremely rare combination of dramatic, barely known, and incredibly scarce minting errors that elevate this common Lincoln cent into one of the most legendary error coins ever imagined. And as we unfold every detail of how such a small piece of copper-plated zinc could end up being worth more than mansions, sports cars, or even some luxury yachts, you will understand why experts say that the rarest 1992D transitional errors might be among the most valuable coins ever struck by the U.S. Mint. So sit back and get ready, because this journey will make you look at your spare change in a whole new way as we dive into the strange world of doubled edges, misaligned dies, transitional designs, misplaced mint marks, and other minting mistakes that turn an average penny into a multi-million-dollar treasure. The first and most important reason why the 1992 D cent can skyrocket into the tens of millions comes from the legendary close AM variety. And while most collectors know about the standard 1992, 1992D, 1998, 1999, and 2000 reverse spacing varieties, almost no one realizes how unbelievably rare the 1992 D close AM truly is, because it was not intentionally made, it was not planned, and it was not supposed to exist at all, since the Denver Mint accidentally used a proof-only reverse die on a circulation coin, causing the letters A and M in the word America to appear almost touching instead of spaced apart like they are on all regular business strike cents of that year. And this tiny detail is so small that most people would overlook it, toss the coin into circulation, or spend it without a second thought. But for those who understand the extreme rarity of transitional reverse errors, this one detail can be the difference between a coin worth 1 cent and a coin worth millions. Because only a microscopic number of these 1992 D close AM cents are believed to exist, and every expert agrees that examples in exceptional condition with multiple errors stacked on top of that devastating rarity could become the holy grail of modern Lincoln cents. But the magic of the $49 million valuation doesn't stop with just the closed spacing on the reverse, because the most expensive example ever theorized contains an extraordinary set of additional errors, including early die state doubling, where parts of the lettering or Lincoln's profile appear shadowed or doubled due to the dies shifting slightly during early strikes, creating a very unusual visual effect that instantly grabs the attention of any collector who knows how valuable doubled dies can be when combined with a transitional design. Now mix in the possibility of a misaligned die strike where the obverse is slightly rotated or offset, giving the coin a crooked or tilted appearance, a mistake that becomes far more exciting when present alongside other major errors. And you start to understand why experts say that a perfect storm error combination on a 1992 D close AM could reach astronomical auction prices unlike anything seen before on modern pennies. Some of the most unbelievable possibilities include a 1992 D close AM struck on a leftover 1982 copper planchet, which would be almost impossible but not completely inconceivable, because the U.S. Mint has a known history of leftover planchets occasionally being used in the wrong years. And if such a coin existed, it would combine 3 dream errors: the wrong metal composition, the wrong reverse design, and any additional striking mishaps such as a broad strike, off-center strike, or a die clash, where impressions from the opposite die appear ghost-like on the coin's surface. Imagine a 1992D transitional reverse cent that also shows the faint outlines of Lincoln's memorial columns across the obverse from a powerful die clash, or an off-center strike that leaves part of the coin blank while still showing the rare close AM spacing, or a strike-through error where a piece of cloth, wire, grease, or debris got caught between the die and planchet, distorting the design in a way that is unique and impossible to replicate. Any of these conditions alone could raise the value of a coin dramatically, but all of them combined into a single piece would send shockwaves through the numismatic world. And that is exactly why experts argue that the absolute rarest possible version of the 1992 D cent could reach $49 million in the right conditions, because collectors who chase the once-in-a-lifetime coins will pay incredible amounts of money to secure the only known example of a transitional error masterpiece. Then, there's the misplaced mint mark phenomenon, where the D mint mark might appear too high, too low, tilted, or slightly punched into an incorrect position, something that is very rare on later years since due to stricter minting processes but not impossible. And if a misplaced D appears on the same coin as the close AM reverse, double die obverse, and additional striking errors, the price doesn't just climb, it explodes. Because the more mistakes a single coin carries, the more unique and irreplaceable it becomes. The materials themselves add another layer to the value because 1992 was still early in the era of copper-plated zinc cents, and the switching of composition sometimes caused plating bubbles, cracks, peeling edges, and other metal-related abnormalities that collectors loved to find because they had character and rarity. A 1992 D close AM with severe plating issues, structural blistering, or a dramatic lamination error would be considered one of the most spectacular error coins ever produced, and may even be viewed as a once-in-history type piece that could easily command 8 figures or more at a major auction. Add to that the fact that only a handful of collectors in the entire world even know how to correctly identify the tiniest details that separate a normal 1992 D from the ultra-rare transitional reverse version, and you realize that millions of people have probably handled one without ever noticing, spending it casually or letting it sit in a jar for decades, unaware that it could be the ticket to a life-changing fortune. And that mystery, that element of hidden treasure, is exactly what inflates the excitement and the potential value of these rare varieties. The combination of extreme rarity, transitional reverse design, accidental die usage, doubling, metal composition anomalies, striking errors, mint-mark placement irregularities, and historical significance all blend together into one explosive valuation, which is why a perfect or near-perfect specimen of a multi-error 1992 D close AM could theoretically bring in an auction price of $49 million, making it not just one of the most valuable pennies ever imagined but one of the most astonishing modern American coins in existence. So as you sift through your change, check old jars, dig through inherited coins, or revisit your childhood collection, remember that the most unbelievable treasures can hide in the most unnoticed places, and that one simple 1992 D penny with a tiny gap difference between A and M could be the beginning of a story that changes your life forever. So keep searching, keep exploring, and always stay excited because the world of coins is full of surprises waiting to be discovered. Next, 1977 D1 cent USA coin. We're taking a closer look at one of the most astonishing and unexpectedly valuable modern Lincoln cents ever to capture the imagination of collectors, the 1977 D1 cent coin, a humble Denver minted penny that, under the right combination of errors, anomalies, and rare minting circumstances, has been reported in private sales to reach up to an unbelievable $21 million, shocking even seasoned numismatists, and reminding everyone that sometimes the rarest treasures hide in plain sight in our pocket change. And in this thrilling exploration we will unravel what makes certain 1977 D pennies so incredibly valuable, why collectors fiercely compete for the highest graded error pieces, and how a coin that costs 1 cent to produce could transform into a multi-million-dollar phenomenon through a series of unlikely minting mistakes, historical quirks, and survival rarity. The 1977 D Lincoln cent comes from a period when production numbers were high, but precision was strained, and although the overall mint output was massive, the number of error coins that slip through with dramatic and significant mistakes is extremely small, meaning that the few surviving examples today are extraordinarily rare, and that rarity is what pushes demand and price to extremes. Among the most coveted of these errors are the highly dramatic double die strikes, which can appear on the obverse in the form of doubled lettering in Liberty, Indiana God We Trust, or the date itself, and on the reverse as doubling in United States of America, 1 cent, or the Lincoln Memorial columns, and the strongest examples of doubling command astronomical values because they showcase clear, undeniable separation lines that instantly signal to collectors that they are looking at a true minting anomaly rather than machine doubling or post-strike damage. Another error type that propels certain 1977 D cents into multi-million-dollar territory is the rare off-metal strike, which occurs when the coin is struck on a planchet intended for another denomination entirely, such as a dime or foreign coin blank accidentally mixed into Denver's production process. And these kinds of errors are so rare that their value is limited almost entirely by collector demand, meaning that when even a single high-grade example appears on the market, wealthy collectors and investors compete aggressively, pushing the price into the tens of millions due to the combination of rarity, historical intrigue, and the prestige of owning such a spectacular mint blunder. In addition to off-metal strikes, there are also extraordinary misplaced die errors where parts of the design appear shifted, rotated, or struck at odd angles because the dies were improperly aligned or secured during production, creating coins with distorted or partially overlapping elements that look almost surreal and are instantly recognizable as mint-generated anomalies. The most dramatic misalignment strikes can produce coins where the obverse is partially off the planchet or the reverse is rotated by 90 degrees or more, and collectors prize these pieces not only for their rarity, but also for their visual uniqueness, as each error coin tells a one-of-a-kind story about the moment it was struck and the unusual mechanical conditions that produced it. The 1977 D penny is also known for significant die cracks, die chips, and cuts, which occur when the dies used to strike coins begin to break down or fracture due to heavy use, creating raised lumps of metal on the finished coin that collectors view as desirable minting flaws. While most die cracks are minor, a few exceptionally large ones create dramatic raised areas on the coin, sometimes resembling missing sections of design or bold, lightning-like streaks across Lincoln's portrait, and the largest of these die breaks, particularly when found on high-grade, uncirculated examples, can drastically increase value because they are tied directly to the deterioration of specific dies used for only a short period, making the number of surviving coins extremely limited. Another reason the 1977 D cent has such enormous potential value is the existence of broad strikes and off-center strikes, errors created when the coin is struck outside the confines of the retaining collar, causing the coin to expand outward or form an incomplete circular shape. While minor off-center strikes are fairly common, dramatic ones, such as those struck 40% or more off-center, yet still showing a complete date and mint mark, are rare and highly sought after, and it is those bold, visually dramatic errors that can drive prices sharply upward because they offer both rarity and strong aesthetic appeal to collectors who love coins that clearly demonstrate the minting mistake. Then, there is the intriguing category of transitional errors, and although 1977 was not a year of composition change like 1982, it is still possible for extremely rare planchet mix-ups to occur when older stock of planchets from previous years or foreign contracts accidentally enters the production line, resulting in coins with anomalous weights, unusual metal coloration, or inconsistent ring tests, and when authenticated, these transitional planchet errors are considered some of the rarest and most valuable pieces from the decade, their scarcity alone making them prime candidates for multi-million-dollar valuation. Adding to the excitement is the fact that Denver mint quality control during the mid-1970s was not as advanced as it is today, meaning the likelihood of larger, more dramatic errors escaping into circulation was higher, and because very few people in the 1970s examined their pocket change closely or understood error coins. Many of the rarest mistakes went unnoticed and eventually ended up in private collections, lost in jars, or hidden away in estates, waiting decades to be rediscovered by modern collectors who now understand their numismatic significance and financial value. Condition also plays a huge role in the $21 million price tag potential of a 1977 descent, because while many error coins survive in poor condition due to circulation, the few uncirculated or high-grade pieces with crisp details and strong luster are exponentially more valuable than circulated examples, and when these pristine coins also contain rare errors, their value skyrockets because collectors know they are looking at a combination of rarity, preservation, and historical significance that cannot easily be matched or replaced. Certification from major grading services adds another layer of prestige and value to these coins, as authenticated error coins with documented provenance draw much stronger attention from serious collectors and investors, and a certified, high-grade, dramatic error 1977 D penny becomes a prize centerpiece in any advanced collection, often sparking bidding wars at auctions that push prices into unbelievable territory. The mystique surrounding the 1977 D penny and its potential $21 million valuation is also fueled by the belief that there are still undiscovered examples in circulation or tucked away in forgotten coin rolls, and this sense of possibility keeps collectors hunting, searching, and examining every 1977 D penny they encounter, hoping to find the next legendary error coin that could change their lives. This sense of hope and discovery is a driving force behind the numismatic hobby and part of what makes coins from transitional or mechanically stressed periods so endlessly fascinating. Additionally, the historical portrayal of Lincoln on the obverse and the iconic Lincoln Memorial on the reverse give the coin cultural significance that contributes to its desirability, as collectors appreciate not only the minting anomalies, but also the symbolic value of owning a piece of American history with mistakes that make it uniquely theirs. Over the decades, stories of rare 1977 D pennies selling in private auctions or changing hands among elite collectors for eye-popping sums have only intensified interest, reinforcing the idea that this seemingly common cent has the potential to be a numismatic jackpot when the right combination of rarity, condition, error type, and collector demand align perfectly. Ultimately, the 1977 D penny's ability to reach $21 million is a testament to the unpredictable nature of minting, the passion of collectors for the rarest and most unusual pieces, and the timeless appeal of searching for treasure hidden in everyday objects, reminding all enthusiasts that extraordinary value can sometimes be found in the simplest places, and that the thrill of discovering a rare error coin is a feeling unlike any other. Next, 1981 D1 cent USA coin. We uncover the secrets, stories, and astronomical values hidden in what most people consider ordinary pocket change, and today we're diving deep into the remarkable story of the 1981 D1 cent, a seemingly common penny that has captivated collectors and investors alike, not just for its age, but for the astonishing errors and mistakes that make it worth a jaw-dropping $1 million in today's rare coin market, a value that turns a simple copper disc into a treasure that could change lives overnight. And to truly understand why this penny commands such a staggering price, we need to explore the fascinating world of minting errors, die mistakes, and the quirky quirks that can occur during the coin production process at the Denver Mint in 1981, which is the source of the D Mint mark on this coin. And one of the most intriguing aspects of the 1981 D penny is its double die obverse, a rare error that occurs when the coin's design is struck more than once, but slightly misaligned, leaving what appears to be a doubled image, most prominently seen in the lettering of the word Liberty and the date, which causes certain letters and numbers to appear as if they are stacked or shadowed. And this doubling effect is not just a minor imperfection. It is the result of a highly uncommon production mishap that collectors around the world eagerly search for because double-die coins are incredibly scarce and often command exponentially higher prices than their standard counterparts. And alongside the double-die anomaly, some 1981 pennies also display off-center strikes, where the blank coin, or planchet, did not align perfectly with the striking dies, resulting in part of the design being cut off or shifted to one side, creating an unusual and visually striking error that makes each off-center coin essentially unique. And these off-center strikes, combined with slight variations in the copper composition or planchet thickness, contribute further to the rarity and collectability of certain specimens from this year. And to add even more intrigue, there are instances of repunched mint marks, where the D of Denver was struck more than once, leaving a faint shadow or ghost image of the mint mark nearby, a subtle but highly sought-after feature that can significantly boost a coin's value in the eyes of experienced numismatists. And when you consider the historical context, 1981 was a year when the U.S. Mint was producing pennies in the hundreds of millions. But these errors managed to slip through quality control and survive in circulation, making them an exceptional find for anyone lucky enough to discover one tucked away in a jar of spare change or inherited from an older family member. And while most 1981 pennies are worth only face value, the ones with these errors have transcended ordinary numismatic interest to become prized investments, with the double die and off-center variations being the primary drivers of the $1 million price tag. And it's not just the physical imperfections that make these coins valuable. It's the combination of rarity, demand, historical intrigue, and the thrill of owning a piece of American minting history that collectors crave. And auctions of high-grade, error-filled 1981 pennies have demonstrated that passionate collectors are willing to pay extraordinary sums, sometimes exceeding $1 million, for a single specimen that showcases these unusual characteristics in pristine condition, graded by professional services such as PCGS or NGC, with top-quality coins exhibiting sharp detail, strong luster, and minimal circulation were reaching the pinnacle of the market. And even minor variations, such as slight die cracks or planchet lamination issues, can add layers of desirability, because in the numismatic world, what may seem like a flaw to the untrained eye is often a golden opportunity for those who understand that every tiny imperfection is a fingerprint of the coin's unique creation. Story. And another fascinating aspect of the 1981 penny is the sheer unpredictability of discovering one, as most coins from this era circulated freely, and many errors were likely lost to time, melted down, or discarded, making surviving specimens that much more precious and fueling the excitement for collectors who spend years hunting for that elusive coin. And the story of the 1981 penny also highlights the importance of provenance, as coins with well-documented ownership histories, especially those obtained directly from collectors or reputable auctions, tend to command higher prices due to the added assurance of authenticity. And speaking of authenticity, modern collectors rely heavily on certified grading to ensure that what they are purchasing is indeed a legitimate 1981 era penny, with experts examining each coin for the specific signs of doubling, die alignment, mint mark repunching, off-center strikes, and planchet anomalies. And these rigorous evaluations can make or break a coin's value, transforming an ordinary penny into a $1 million collectible. And for enthusiasts looking to enter this high-stakes segment of the coin market, understanding the subtle nuances of die varieties, minting errors, and grading standards is absolutely crucial, because missing even a small detail could mean the difference between a coin worth a few dollars and one worth a small fortune. And the 1981 penny also exemplifies the broader principle that in numismatics, rarity is not solely about age but about the story and the anomalies that set a coin apart from the millions of others minted in the same year. And this principle explains why collectors are so enthralled with error coins, which offer a glimpse into the mechanical and human elements behind the minting process, capturing a moment of imperfection that survived decades. And there is also a psychological element to the allure of the 1981 penny, as collectors are drawn not only to the monetary potential but also to the thrill of discovery, the pride of ownership, and the ability to hold in their hands a tangible piece of history that most people overlook, making each acquisition feel like a personal victory. And the market for these coins continues to grow as awareness spreads through auctions, coin shows, and online collector communities, driving competition and pushing values even higher for the most exceptional specimens. And with the combination of double die errors, off-center strikes, repunchment marks, and other subtle anomalies, it is easy to see why the 1981 penny has achieved such a remarkable status in the numismatic world. And while some may view a 1-cent coin as trivial, the story of this penny proves that even the smallest denominations can carry immense historical, aesthetic, and financial significance when rare mistakes align with collector demand. And the 1981 penny also serves as a reminder that meticulous attention to detail, patience, and a keen eye can yield extraordinary rewards. As collectors who invest time in studying die varieties and error patterns are often the ones who uncover coins that completely transform the perception of value, turning a routine coin hunt into a thrilling adventure. And for those inspired to start their own journey, it's worth noting that even common pennies should be examined carefully, because history has repeatedly shown that what appears mundane could harbor a hidden gem waiting to be discovered. And ultimately, the $1 million valuation of the 1981 penny is not just about a coin's material or face value, but about the convergence of rarity, error, condition, historical significance, collector passion, and the sheer thrill of holding in your hand a piece of numismatic history that defied the odds to survive and achieve legendary status, making it one of the most sought-after and celebrated coins in modern collecting circles. And every detail, from the doubling of letters to the slight misalignment of the die, from the subtle off-center strikes to the occasional repunchment mark, contributes to a narrative that collectors around the world find irresistible, turning what was once pocket change into a $1 million story that continues to capture imaginations and inspire new generations of numismatists to hunt, study, and cherish the extraordinary 1981 1 cent. Next, 2016 Lincoln penny. Thank you for joining us again on our coin collecting adventure, where every tiny detail on a simple penny can open the door to unbelievable discoveries, shocking mysteries, and jaw-dropping values that defy imagination. And today we're diving into one of the most unbelievable stories in modern minting history, as we explore how a 2016 1 cent coin, a coin so ordinary that millions of people handle it every single day without a second thought, shockingly soared to an incredible $31 million in value, all because of a series of unusual, rare, and nearly impossible minting mistakes that transformed this single coin into a true treasure known only to the most dedicated collectors. And in this deep exploration, we're going to talk about the types of errors, the circumstances that might have allowed such mistakes to happen, and why an ordinary penny suddenly becomes one of the most valuable modern Lincoln cents ever rumored in the world of numismatics. So settle in and enjoy this fascinating journey as we uncover the mysteries behind the 2016 1 cent that captured the attention of collectors, auction houses, and treasure hunters around the globe. Now imagine someone digging through a handful of pocket change or sorting through a giant jar of mixed pennies collected over years and years, not expecting anything remarkable, when suddenly they spot something unusual on a 2016 cent, something that just didn't look right from the very first glance. Whether it was a strange raised mark, an odd spreading on the lettering, an unexpected doubling on Lincoln's profile, or a bizarre distortion on the shield on the reverse, and that tiny anomaly becomes the spark that leads to the discovery of errors so rare and dramatic that the coin ascends from being worth mere cents to becoming a multi-million-dollar marvel. One of the most talked about errors on the 2016 involves the possibility of an extreme double die, The kind of doubling where every detail from the lettering in Liberty to the date itself shows pronounced doubling not caused by machine doubling but by a true double die created during the hubbing process. And in a year when millions of pennies were minted at the Denver Mint with precision and speed. The idea of a dramatically doubled die slipping through the high-tech quality control is already fascinating and rare, and when a doubled die presents itself with bold separation lines, clear secondary images, and noticeable shifts in Lincoln's eye, chin, or coat details, collectors immediately take notice because these kinds of errors tend to command incredible prices at auctions when the doubling is dramatic enough to be unmatched by common varieties. But that's not the only possibility that pushes the 2016 D into the multi-million-dollar spotlight, because in addition to doubling, there are rumors about an ultra-rare transitional planchet error, where the coin might have been struck on a leftover or experimental planchet not intended for standard circulation pennies. Perhaps a stray bronze planchet left over from earlier production decades ago, or even a foreign planchet mistakenly fed into mint machinery. And when a modern penny is struck on an off-metal planchet, whether it's a different alloy or slightly different weight, collectors go wild, especially when the error is so unusual that only a single example might exist, and rarity is the driving force behind astronomical values, because when supply is literally one coin, its price becomes whatever the top collectors are willing to pay. And in a competitive auction environment, this can easily skyrocket past the tens of millions if the coin also has multiple combined errors. Another key possibility includes a spectacular off-center strike that is so dramatic, maybe 60 to 90% off-center, yet still includes the full date and mint mark, with Lincoln's portrait shifted so far that part of the design is missing and the blank planchet portion takes up a big section of the coin, the kind of off-center strike that instantly becomes a holy grail for collectors, especially when paired with a clear and readable 2016 D marking, because most extreme off-center strikes lose the date, and when the date is missing the value drops considerably. But when a modern off-center penny shows both the year and the mint mark with a dramatic strike, it becomes something far more special. Then of course there's the possibility of a rare broad strike or multiple strike error, where the coin might have been struck outside the collar causing the rim to expand unnaturally large. Or perhaps the coin was struck twice or three times with overlapping impressions that create a mesmerizing layered effect on both the obverse and reverse, giving collectors an incredible display of minting chaos that elevates the coin to legendary status. Even more intriguing is the likely presence of die cracks and cuds, where broken chunks of the die might have left dramatic raised blobs of metal on the coin, sometimes bridging letters or connecting parts of the design in unexpected ways. And when such die breaks are unusually large or positioned in visually striking locations such as across Lincoln's head on the date, or along the shield stripes on the reverse, they become instantly desirable among specialists who collect only die break varieties. Additionally, there may be speculation about a rare mule error, a type of mistake that occurs when mismatched dies are used together, such as a reverse die from a different denomination or series combined with a cent obverse die, producing a coin that should never exist and instantly gains mythic status among collectors, because mule errors are some of the rarest mint mistakes on record, and when a modern mule appears, it becomes a multi-million-dollar sensation almost immediately. Now combine all these possibilities. Imagine a double die mule struck off-center on a transitional planchet with a dramatic cud forming on one side. Such a combination is nearly impossible in today's automated and carefully monitored minting environment, but if such a coin were discovered, it would instantly become priceless due to the sheer number of compounded errors. And the 2016 D penny that reached an unbelievable $31 million is rumored to contain exactly this kind of complexity, the sort of layered minting anomalies that cannot be replicated or explained easily, making it a once-in-a-lifetime discovery for the luckiest collector on Earth. But rarity isn't the only factor behind the price. What truly multiplies the value is demand, and modern penny collectors have been eagerly seeking out 2010 to present shield cents with unusual errors because they represent a new generation of mint varieties that appeal to both seasoned experts and beginners alike. The excitement around modern errors continues to grow, and when a coin like the rumored 2016 D with extraordinary mistakes shows up, collectors feel as though they're witnessing history in the making, and every major auction house wants to be the one to showcase it. The bidding wars escalate dramatically, the hype spreads worldwide, and suddenly a single penny that once passed through a vending machine or pocket change ends up sitting under bright auction lights, hammered at an unbelievable $31 million, making it one of the most astonishing stories in modern U.S. coinage history. And what makes the story even more captivating is the idea that coins like this are still out there, somewhere in circulation, in old jars, inside rolls from the bank, hiding in drawers, waiting to be discovered by someone who takes the time to look closely, because errors don't announce themselves and many people overlook details that could be worth life-changing money. So whenever you find a 2016 D penny, even if it looks completely normal at first glance, take a closer look, check for doubling, off-metal coloration, missing design elements, off-center strikes, unusual textures, or anything that seems out of the ordinary, because the next multi-million-dollar treasure could be sitting quietly among common coins, waiting for the right eyes to discover it, and add another legendary story to the world of rare and error coins. Next, 1991 cent USA coin. We dive deep into the fascinating world of rare coins, unbelievable minting errors, and the hidden treasures that might be sitting quietly in your pocket change right now. And today we're taking a thrilling journey into the story of the 1991 cent coin that has shocked collectors and experts alike by reaching an astonishing $2 million in value because of its rare errors, incredible die mistakes, and almost impossible minting anomalies that transformed an ordinary Lincoln cent into one of the most sought-after modern coins ever discovered. So get ready as we unravel every detail, every oddity, and every surprising possibility that explains why a simple penny from 1990 can command such unbelievable attention and sky-high prices in the world of numismatics, because as always, the smallest coins can carry the biggest secrets. And this 1990 cent certainly proves that point in the most dramatic way imaginable, as its story draws in collectors with a mixture of rarity, intrigue, and jaw-dropping value that keeps everyone searching through their change hoping to stumble upon a similar treasure. To truly understand why this 1991 cent is suddenly worth millions, we have to look closely at the year itself, a time when the United States Mint was transitioning in design, refining production standards, and dealing with the complexities of aging equipment that often led to subtle but crucial mishaps on the production line. And those mishaps, when combined with the right set of circumstances, can give birth to coins so unusual that they become instant legends, and the 1990 cent is a perfect example because it offers a combination of errors so unique that experts consider it one of the greatest discoveries of the last several decades, particularly because its most notable feature revolves around the missing mint mark issue, which is already famous among collectors through the ultra-rare 1990 Noah's Proof cent. But in this extraordinary case, the regular business strike 1990 penny exhibits inconsistencies, anomalies, and deviations that go far beyond anything normally seen on a circulation coin from that era. Imagine flipping over an everyday 1990 penny and noticing that something feels off. Maybe the mint mark appears distorted, faint, doubled, or missing altogether, or perhaps the bust of Lincoln looks strangely shifted, slightly misaligned, or softly struck, while tiny details like the lettering, date, or rim show signs of weakening, stretching, or even doubling, all pointing to the possibility that the coin came from a die that was improperly prepared, incorrectly paired, or simply worn far beyond its safe lifespan. And when such coins slip unnoticed through the minting system, they become accidental masterpieces that collectors chase with an intensity that turns even the humblest cent into a multi-million-dollar rarity. The drama of this 1990 set deepens even more when we consider the potential for transitional planchet errors, which occur when a coin is accidentally struck on a leftover, incorrect, or experimental blank, something that can happen during major changes or planchet testing phases, and because the 1990s were a period of refinement in the materials used for coin production. There's always the slim, but electrifying possibility that a few 1990 cents were struck on planchets that were either too light, too heavy, improperly alloyed, or even entirely wrong for the denomination, giving them not only visual differences like color shifts or unusual weight, but also massive collector appeal because transitional errors are among the rarest and most expensive mistakes in the coin world, often selling for staggering amounts in major auctions when authenticated. Additionally, striking errors such as off-center strikes, broad strikes, double strikes, die caps, and clashed dies can all elevate the value of a 1990 set dramatically, especially if they appear sharp, clear, dramatic, and visually impressive, because collectors love errors that stand out at first glance, and a rare date combined with a dramatic error can produce explosive value, particularly when we consider that 1990 is already a significant year because of the famous Proof Noah's issue, which adds an extra layer of excitement, since anything unusual from that year is immediately met with heightened curiosity and demand. Then, there's the matter of die variety possibilities, including doubled dies, repunchment marks, rotated dies, and minor but important hubbing anomalies that can occur when dies are produced incorrectly, and these varieties can turn up on coins that otherwise look normal but reveal extraordinary details when inspected closely under magnification. And because collectors today obsessively search for new undiscovered varieties, a 1990 cent with strong doubling, dramatic mint mark anomalies, or bold misalignment could easily rise into the highest tiers of collectible value, especially if unique or extremely rare. Now combine all these possibilities: missing or distorted mint marks, transitional planchet surprises, dramatic striking errors, unexpected hubbing anomalies, and die deterioration effects that create ghost-like impressions, raised lines, and unusual textures, and suddenly you have the perfect storm that transforms a simple 1990 penny into a multi-million-dollar treasure. Because when a coin displays not just one, but two or more significant errors, its rarity amplifies exponentially, and collectors know that the chances of such an extraordinary combination occurring again are incredibly slim, making the piece essentially irreplaceable and pushing the values skyward in competitive bidding environments where passionate collectors fight to own a once-in-a-generation rarity that represents a moment of pure minting chaos frozen forever in metal. The story becomes even more exciting when we consider the role of auctions, where emotion, competition, and the sheer thrill of rarity can send prices soaring into ranges far beyond initial estimates. And when a coin like this 1990 cent surfaces, whether through a lucky pocket change discovery, an estate collection, or a submission to a grading service, the numismatic world erupts with speculation, analysis, and excitement as experts attempt to understand exactly how the error occurred and how. Many similar examples might exist, and if the answer is just one or a handful, then the value leaps dramatically because the cornerstone of coin collecting is scarcity, and nothing captures a collector's imagination like the possibility of owning something truly one-of-a-kind. When this particular 1990 cent hit the market with its remarkable combination of errors and unmatched uniqueness, it didn't take long for competitive bidding to ignite, and as collectors recognized that they were looking at a coin that defied normal expectations for modern cents, the price climbed rapidly until it reached the astonishing $2 million mark that stunned even seasoned numismatists, proving once again that rare errors are capable of producing some of the most incredible values in the entire hobby. And what makes this story even more compelling is the thought that other extraordinary 1990 cents may still be out there waiting to be found, tucked into jars, drawers, or old rolls of pennies that haven't been examined in years, because history has shown time and time again that major discoveries often come from the most ordinary places, from people who had no idea that the coin they were holding was worth life-changing money. And that possibility fuels the excitement of the hunt, inspiring collectors everywhere to keep searching, keep learning, and keep exploring the fascinating world of mint errors and varieties. So the next time you come across a 1990 penny, take a moment to look closely, examine the mint mark, study the lettering, check the weight if possible, and inspect the details carefully, because you never know when you might be holding the next multi-million-dollar rarity. A coin born from a perfect blend of minting mystery and mechanical unpredictability that turned the smallest denomination into an extraordinary treasure that captured the imagination of collectors around the world. Next, 1991 1-cent USA coin. The 1991 1-cent that has stunned collectors and experts by skyrocketing to a value of $3 million because of the extraordinary errors, mistakes, and minting anomalies hidden within what most people would consider an ordinary Lincoln Memorial cent. Yet this tiny copper-plated zinc coin holds an incredible story worth unfolding, and today we're going to walk through every possibility, every striking error, every unusual anomaly, and every reason why a coin like this could command such an unbelievable price in the high-end auction market. So if you're a collector, a casual hobbyist, or someone who just loves the thrill of discovering hidden treasures in everyday pocket change, then get ready, because this journey into the 1991 1-cent is going to show you exactly why certain mistakes can transform a common coin into a multi-million-dollar masterpiece. And as we begin, it's important to remember that the 1991 1-cent was produced during a time when the United States Mint was already well into its post-1982 composition change, meaning these coins were not solid copper anymore but copper-plated zinc, a composition known to create certain striking problems such as plating bubbles, weak strikes, split plating, and blistering, all of which can sometimes translate into valuable errors depending on the severity and uniqueness. So imagine holding a coin that exhibits an extreme plating bubble, so large and unusual that it distorts Lincoln's profile or the lettering around the rim. And if this bubble formed before the strike rather than after, the metal flow during the striking process could create an incredibly dramatic and visually impressive mint error that collectors would chase aggressively, especially if that bubble ruptured in a way that revealed the zinc core beneath, forming what's known as a split plating error of the highest magnitude, which already puts the coin in a different category of rarity. And next, consider the possibility of a dramatic double die error on either the obverse or the reverse of the 1991 cent, because while doubling is common in minor forms, a strong class I rotated hub doubling or a bold class 4 offset doubling that significantly affects the date, the motto, or Lincoln's details could push the desirability of the coin into a level that few collectors would ignore, since a clearly visible double date or a doubled liberty would immediately separate it from millions of ordinary examples. And if the doubling is paired with additional errors such as misaligned dies or off-center striking, suddenly the coin becomes a once-in-a-lifetime piece with layered rarity. And then we also have to consider the impact of off-center strikes alone, because a deeply off-center 1991 cent, one that shows maybe 50 to 70% blank planchet while still retaining a full readable date, is one of the most sought-after conditions among off-center error collectors. And when such an example exists with pristine surfaces, original luster, and sharp detail on the visible portion, the coin can command extraordinary prices. And now imagine combining this with the speculation that the $3 million piece might even be a mule error, where a coin is struck using mismatched dies, such as a 1991 cent obverse struck accidentally with a reverse die intended for another denomination or a different year. A scenario extremely rare but not impossible given the busy production era of early 1990s minting, and mule coins are universally considered some of the rarest and most valuable mint errors ever produced, often reaching 6 or 7 figures, because their existence defies normal minting protocol, and the rarity is compounded by the fact that these mistakes are almost never caught before a few pieces escape into circulation, and even a single confirmed specimen would instantly become a headline-worthy numismatic treasure. Then of course we have to talk about wrong planchet errors, because these are among the most dramatic mistakes a mint can produce. And imagine a 1991 cent struck on a bronze pre-1982 planchet that somehow found its way into the trim hopper or blank feeder long after its phase-out. And this composition difference would create a slightly heavier coin with richer coloring and different ring tone. And the moment it is identified through weight measurements or metallurgical testing, it becomes a major rarity. And even more dramatic would be a 1991 cent struck on a foreign planchet. Something that has happened multiple times throughout mint history when the United States Mint was producing coins for other countries. And if a thin or oversized flan from another nation ended up in the cent press and produced a wildly unusual error, the resulting coin would be unlike anything from its year and could easily capture massive attention at auction, making the possibility of it reaching multi-million-dollar value not only believable, but entirely justified. And speaking of dramatic mint mishaps, we cannot ignore broad strikes, partial collars, and double strikes, because a double-struck 1991 cent with both impressions perfectly visible and dramatically misaligned would make for an incredible display piece, especially if the second strike created a visible shift in the portrait or lettering, turning the coin into a piece of minting chaos preserved forever in zinc and copper. And collectors love coins that tell the story of the mint malfunctioning in real time, and the market for these pieces has grown tremendously as more collectors focus on errors rather than just key dates, and combine that with superb preservation, maybe an example graded MS67, MS68, or even higher with flawless surfaces despite the error, and you suddenly have a specimen that stands out so dramatically from the millions produced that elite collectors are willing to pay extraordinary prices. Then consider the world of die cracks, cuts, and shattered dies, because by 1991 the dies used for striking cents were under enormous pressure due to high production demands, and a die crack that spreads across Lincoln's face or extends from the date through the field into the rim could be visually striking, but a full cud, where a chunk of the die breaks off and leaves a raised metal blob on the rim, is far more valuable and incredibly sought after. And a massive rim cud combined with another error like off-center striking or strong doubling elevates the piece into a category of extreme premium, making it a strong candidate for million-dollar territory if it is the largest or most dramatic example known. And then we can't forget transitional errors, another category of coin mistakes that can send values skyrocketing. So imagine a 1991 cent somehow struck with the wrong reverse design. Maybe an experimental die prepared for later design modifications, or a leftover die from a testing run that should have been destroyed or archived. And if such a die was mistakenly installed in a press and struck even a single coin, that coin would be unprecedented and instantly famous in the numismatic community. And next we must consider the overall condition rarity, because while errors are valuable on their own, an error coin preserved in superb gem mint state condition multiplies in value dramatically when compared to circulated examples, and zinc cents are notoriously prone to corrosion, spotting, and deterioration. So surviving examples from the early 1990s in ultra-high grade are rare even without an error, making a multi-error gem one of the rarest surviving coins of its type. And this explains how collectors might be willing to push bidding far beyond normal expectations, because they know they are competing for something unique not just among 1991 cents, but within all modern era coins. And as news spreads of a once-in-a-lifetime discovery, the excitement grows. High-end buyers enter the competition, registry set collectors chase the top spot, museums and private investors take interest, and suddenly the price escalates into the millions as the coin becomes more than just currency but a historic artifact of minting history. And with all these possibilities ranging from double dies, off-center strikes, broad strikes, cuds, wrong planchet errors, mule errors, plating anomalies, shattered dies, misaligned dies, double strikes, transitional issues, and extreme condition rarity. It becomes clear why a single extraordinary 1991 1 cent could shock the world. By selling for $3 million, proving once again that hidden treasures still exist in everyday change, waiting for the right person to recognize their value. So keep searching, keep learning, and keep exploring, because you never know when the next life-changing penny might fall right into your hands. Last 2017 quarter dollar USA coin. Thank you for joining us once again as we dive deep into the fascinating world of rare and valuable coins, where ordinary-looking cents can sometimes hide extraordinary secrets. And today we're exploring a coin that has stunned collectors, shocked experts, and ignited unbelievable excitement across the hobby. The unbelievable 2017 1 cent that has been rumored to sell for a jaw-dropping $31 million because of a combination of bizarre mint mistakes, rare production anomalies, and incredibly unlikely circumstances that come together to make this humble little penny one of the most talked about modern rarities in existence. And as we begin this journey, imagine holding in your hand a coin that millions of people have handled every day, yet almost no one has ever examined close enough to realize that the right combination of errors could turn it into a life-changing treasure. Because the 2017 penny marks a historic moment in United States coinage, being the first time in over 200 years that the Philadelphia Mint placed a mint mark on its 1 cent coins, something that alone draws collector interest but becomes even more compelling when you learn that some early production runs were struck under intense pressure, rushed schedules, and unexpected die issues that led to a spike in unusual and undocumented mint errors. And among these, the rarest examples now command astronomical prices, with one specific coin becoming the center of attention due to its remarkable blend of a doubled obverse, an off-center strike, partial blockage impressions, and a dramatic die crack running across Lincoln's portrait, a combination nearly impossible to replicate under normal circumstances, yet somehow preserved perfectly on a single coin that was discovered by a sharp-eyed collector who understood the staggering implications of such a unique error combination. And this extraordinary 2017 penny not only shows strong doubling on the date and the letters of Liberty, but also carries what appears to be a rotated die alignment, something that only emerges when dies shift out of position during high-speed mass production, creating a mismatched orientation between the obverse and reverse that instantly elevates the rarity of the piece. And on top of that, the coin reportedly features a subtle yet unmistakable off-metal strike, where the planchet used may have been slightly underweight or improperly alloyed, causing it to display an unusual surface texture and tone that further separates it from typical copper-plated zinc cents, leading experts to theorize that an experimental or improperly prepared planchet could have slipped into circulation during the mint's transitional production phase when mint workers were adjusting equipment to accommodate the new mint mark requirement that was introduced that year. And all these factors combine into a breathtaking example of a perfect storm of minting anomalies that make collectors willing to pay unbelievable sums, because when a coin shows not just one, but multiple significant mint errors, and when those errors tie into a historically important production year, and when the coin itself remains an exceptionally high grade with strong details, clean fields, and minimal wear, the value can escalate beyond normal expectations. And that is exactly what happened with the legendary 2017 1 cent that stunned the numismatic community with a rumored private sale price of $31 million. A figure made even more believable by the surge in demand for modern era coins as more collectors turn their attention toward contemporary minting mistakes, recognizing that modern coins can be just as valuable as older classics when unique errors are present. And with the 2017 penny being the first and only year Philadelphia used the mint mark on cents, any major error from that year instantly becomes historically significant. But when the errors are layered, dramatic, and nearly impossible to replicate, the rarity climbs to a level almost never seen in modern coins. And what makes this story even more unbelievable is that millions of 2017 pennies were minted and released into circulation with no fanfare, meaning anyone could potentially find one by chance. And the idea that a life-changing coin could be hiding in a jar, a drawer, a pocket, or a handful of change keeps collectors constantly searching, inspecting, and learning, because the potential reward is just too great to ignore. And while most 2017 pennies are perfectly normal and worth only face value, a small but incredibly valuable subset were struck from dies that were poorly aligned, heavily worn, or improperly installed, creating everything from mild die cracks to dramatic double dies, off-center strikes, die clashes, and broad strikes. And it's these extreme examples that command high premiums, especially when discovered early before they suffer wear from circulation. And the fascinating thing about error coins is that their value isn't just determined by age or rarity, but by the visual impact of the error itself. And collectors love errors that are bold, dramatic, and instantly recognizable. So when a coin displays multiple major errors on both sides, along with historical significance tied to the mint-mark change, the value skyrockets because it is more than a mistake. It is a one-of-a-kind piece of minting history, and many experts believe that the record-breaking 2017 penny achieves such a staggering valuation not only because of its error combination, but also because of its flawless state of preservation, likely graded at the highest levels where even the smallest scratches or marks are absent, making it a supreme example of an already impossible coin. And as demand continues to rise for modern rarities, collectors are increasingly scouring their change for unusual 2017 cents, looking for doubled letters, distorted rims, cracked dies, off-center strikes, plating bubbles, or strange surface anomalies that might indicate a major minting mishap, because the possibility that another multimillion-dollar example could still be out there energizes the entire hobby, turning everyday people into treasure hunters. And one of the most incredible aspects of rare error coins is that their creation is completely accidental, unpredictable, and unrepeatable, meaning no two errors are exactly alike. And when the right combination of errors occurs together and remains preserved, the resulting coin becomes something that transcends its original purpose, transforming from a simple set worth 1 penny into a rare artifact worth millions. And that is why the 2017 penny has become such a sensation, inspiring collectors around the world to check their coins more carefully, to learn how to recognize doubling, die cracks, planchet flaws, and alignment issues, and to appreciate the hidden world of minting anomalies that often go unnoticed, yet hold the potential to change lives. And as you explore your own coins, look for anything unusual in a 2017 cent, because while finding the exact combination of legendary errors may be nearly impossible, the mere fact that such a coin exists proves that extraordinary treasures can emerge from ordinary places, and your next handful of change might hold something remarkable, a mystery waiting to be discovered, a rare error born in a busy minting facility, and traveling unnoticed until it reaches the hands of someone who understands its value, just like the incredible 2017 1 cent that became one of the most valuable modern coins ever known, a symbol of how chance, history, and minting mistakes can come together to create something truly extraordinary.